Assalamu alaikum girls, Jaberia here, and today I'll be showing you how to make this gorgeous instant hijab designed by none other than me. So what's so awesome about this hijab? Well, first thing is it's super easy and quick to put on. Secondly, it's all stylish. That means you don't have to spend gazillion minutes in styling a plain hijab. Instead, you can just put this one on, which is pre-styled, and make a bold, trendy statement. So now let's look at the things you'll need for this scarf. You'll need 2 meters crepe chiffon. You'll be needing 2 meter crepe chiffon, 1 meter cotton jersey or cotton lycra, your hem foot, and the pattern that you can purchase in the link provided in the description. So inside the pattern, you'll find all the lengths and measurements that you need to cut for the scarf, as well as the template to cut the inner piece. So go ahead and purchase the pattern from the link in the description. Do pre-shrink the jersey fabric by dipping in water for a few minutes and letting it dry. Okay, now let's move on to cutting. Cut out all the straight pieces based on the measurements given in the pattern, and I'll show you how to cut the inner scarf here. So after you have printed out the pattern, lay them on the floor and put them together as shown by the miniature image on the first page. Tape them in place and cut them out. Now take the jersey or lycra fabric, lay them on top of your table completely like I have done here, and place your pattern on top. So since this is a stretchy fabric, it's important to note that the direction of the stretch is the same as your pattern. The stretching should go in the same direction as you place your pattern. So my fabric stretches from left to right, and this is how I've placed my pattern on top. Now I'm just going to trace the lines using my chalk. It's better to use pattern weights rather than pin to hold the pattern down. Since it is supposed to be cut into 2 pieces, I've placed my pattern on folded fabric. Now very carefully I'll cut it out. And I'll keep it aside after labeling. And I'll keep it aside after folding and labeling it using a post-it note. I repeat the same thing with the other piece, keeping in mind the direction of the stretch. Again, it's from left to right, so I've placed my pattern on top like that. And I'm gonna trace and cut it out just like I cut the previous piece. Now for the hood, what I'm going to do is fold the fabric into quadruple. Look carefully, I've folded it once from top and then folded it again from the sides. So I have like 4 pieces under this. And I place the pattern on the corner and trace it so when I'm done, next I'm gonna cut it out, and this is what I have. One tip I want to share over here, I normally label all my pieces as soon as I cut them out, as I've done here, because it's easy to stay organized and it's not confusing at all later. You can see that I've marked all the pieces based on how I understand them. Okay, now take one of your E pieces. It is mentioned in the pattern file which one is your E piece, and fold it into a half and press. Next, take a thin ribbon and cut it into a length 2 inches longer than your E piece, and then sew it at the top like this. Now fold along the crease. Make sure your ribbon is tucked inside and it's not coming in the seam. And after folding along the crease, sew it using 1/2 inch seam allowance. Make sure you use 1/2 inch seam allowance for this. Now finish up the seam using a zigzag stitch. And now it's time to turn the right side out. And for that, you would need a long tube or something similar. I'm just gonna use this pen and turn the right side out. It can be a long process, but once you get the hang of it, it'll be easy. After you have turned the right side out, go ahead and press. Repeat this for the next 3 stripes. And now it's time for some real fun. Okay, now take your strips and C-piece. Arrange your stripes on your C-piece as you wish. You can either go for the crisscross pattern that I showed you a while ago, or the pattern I'm going to do now. So place your stripes onto your C-piece as you like, and then pin it in place with lots of pins. Next, hand baste the edges in place, making sure that it's perfectly the same way as you pinned it. After that, hand baste the entire strip in place using hidden stitches. So this is my finished piece. I have hand basted it from the back. You can see my hand basting stitches over there. Make sure that your stitch does not show at the top. Now cut off your excess pieces and then press it. And now it's time to sew the D and C pieces together. So put them right side together and sew using a 5 by 8 of an inch seam allowance. I'm gonna mark the 5 by 8 inch length using a tape so that I don't make any mistakes. It's better to use a lot of pins when you're doing this project because chiffon is a slippery fabric and we need it to stay in place. So after you're done, trim the seam allowance and finish off the seam using a zigzag stitch. Now it's time to fold the hem on one side of the scarf piece. I've already done one here. I'm gonna show you how to do the other one now. So first of all, go ahead and replace your normal foot with your hem foot. And then start off by finger pressing the edge, then using a thread and needle hand basted in place. Insert it into the loop and sew. Since it's a slippery fabric, it might seem a bit tricky, so if you've never worked with this foot, you might want to practice it first till you are confident with it. Remember to go slow and work at your own pace. Remember, you always have your seam ripper. You can always rip the seam and start off again if you do any mistakes. Now it's time to sew in the small and large pieces of the scarf to the centerpiece. Over here, the most important thing is the correct placement of the pieces. Since we always wear our scarves from left to right, the small piece should go to the right side and the larger piece should go to the left side. I've done a little mistake here by placing my centerpiece wrong side down. It should be right side up. On top of this, I have placed my smaller piece and pinned it so that when I turn, it goes to my right side. And this is how on the left side I will have my larger piece. I'm gonna sew it in place using 5x8 of seam allowance, and I've trimmed the seam into half and finished up the seam with a zigzag stitch. You can see it here. It's all done. Now I'm gonna go ahead and press the seams in opposite direction. So I've pressed my seams in the opposite direction. They're opening it on either sides. And this is how it looks from the front. And now it's time to sew the inner piece. Since I'll be working on a knit fabric now, I'm going to use the zigzag stitch because I like the results this way more. Go ahead and change your needle to 7011, which is normally used for knit fabrics, and then let's get started. First off, sew the bottom piece from two sides. Follow my finger, and these are the sides I'm going to sew on. Go ahead and pin it in place first. And then sew with 5x8 inch seam allowance. Now, fold the bottom edge by 5x8 inch and press all around. You can use your measurement tape here to make sure that you're pressing the exact length. After you're done with one fold, open it up and press it into half towards the crease. Press it all around, and then you have to sew it. Now, before I start sewing, I forgot to tell one thing. You gotta finish off the seam here, so cut it into half and then using a zigzag stitch, finish it off. Normally, the knit fabrics are are finished off using a serger, but I don't have a serger, so I'm just gonna use this zigzag stitch over here. So my seam's all done. Now I'm gonna finish off the rolled hem. I'm gonna sew my hem, the edge of my scarf, using a zigzag stitch. Next, sew the upper part of the lining in the similar way and finish up the seam like I've done here. And now it's the time to sew the upper and bottom part together. So go ahead and pin it in place. It doesn't matter if they're a bit larger than other, just add some pleats to make it fit. Sew it again with the 5 by 8 inch seam allowance and then finish off your seams. Next, press all your seams. Now fold the front opening just like you folded the bottom part. Fold it first by 5 by 8 inch and then open up the fold, make another fold halfway through towards the crease and then press again and sew it just like you did the edge, the bottom edge. Okay, now is the time for the real magic. So place your finished scarf piece onto the lining so that your wrong side is down. Place it so that the design parts are around 1 inch away from the center of the lining. Pin it all around and just stop like around 1 inch from the place where the bottom part starts. You can see the seam over there. You can just stop 1 inch from there. Next, take the hood, fold it into half, place a mark with your chalk at the center. Now, pin the hood on top of the scarf. Match the chalk mark to the center of the lining and pin all around. The raw edge is towards the edge of the scarf and the inner lining, and the folded thing is towards the outer part. You can see it over here. Pin it all in place and sew using a zigzag stitch, the normal zigzag stitch. After you are done, flip the hood towards the other side like this, and you're all done. You can go ahead and press this in place. Now you can see that I have a little pucker over there. I'm gonna go ahead and fix it. It's on the other side. Here I have to rip off the seams and then I'll fix it. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this pucker, and then I'll be all done with my new hijab. That's it. Now your hijab is ready to roll. Thanks for watching and see you again in the next tutorial. Do subscribe, comment, and share this video if you liked it. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.